Arrowhead, you are balancing Helldivers 2 as if it's a PvP game. It is not, it's a PvE game, and this actually makes no sense at all. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So, by now you've probably played the Escalation of Freedom update. However, it is contained, once again, nerfs which basically make no sense. However, we do have some, I guess, a bit of a breakdown from the CEO, and we do have a blog post which explains some of the changes but doesn't talk about the flame damage change, which again is very, very odd. But I think the initial point of this video stands. Helldivers 2, it's a PvE game. There are some fundamentals connected to that, i.e. you want that power fantasy. You want to feel like that badass space marine on the front line, absolutely decimating waves of enemies. And when that happens, you feel like a goddamn badass. So when Helldivers come in and go, you know what, we're going to nerf this, we're going to nerf that, and this is going to make a weapon maybe you were using not as strong, it feels terrible. Instead, what they should be doing, and I really can't understand this at all. In fact, the CEO has actually even spoken towards this actually being their balanced direction in the future, which I guess has turned out not to be true. But basically what I'm saying is, you need to buff. You don't need to nerf. If something is strong, then buff other options so players look at that as a viable alternative. Instead of nerfing the thing that works, then players need to go out of their way to then find a new thing which works, and that can be frustrating because maybe that weapon isn't their play style, and it's super frustrating. All the weapons should be viable, but make them viable through power. And another thing I want to say before I get into this video, guys, is they've got difficulty levels in this game. So you can increase the difficulty levels and leave the weapon strong. So what if the weapons feel strong between difficulties levels, I don't know, even 1 to 9, right? When you get to difficulty level 10, you're increasing the number of enemies, you're increasing the frequency, it is more difficult. So you need the stronger weapons, and it feels horrible when your weapons are nerfed into the ground and you're like, well, what am I doing here? So I don't understand why they don't balance the game through keeping the weapon strong, because that is the power fantasy, but then just making increased difficulty levels for players that want to experience that kind of gameplay, but also keeping the power fantasy in place for the majority of the player base. It makes no sense. It is a massive problem. But let's break all of this down because we've got a ton to cover in this video, guys. So to begin with, let's take a look at this. Now, this is taken from the live stream which was conducted over on Steam, which wasn't really a live stream. It was just pre-recorded gameplay with some devs and some people from, I think, PlayStation something or other. Basically PR guys who were terrible at the game, by the way, were playing some Helldivers too. But players actually caught up on this. Orbital, Napalm, Barrage. This looks like a new Barrage we're going to get. Makes sense if we're getting a Flame Warbond fairly soon, that we would get some sort of update or a new stratagem which just sets the area on fire, which sounds pretty cool. Yeah. The other thing I do want to quickly talk about is the performance of the game. Right now, the performance is killer. So whatever you have done, guys, to the game, it is awesome. I'm getting incredible frame rates. I'm not getting any lag. The game isn't slowing down through extended play sessions. So that is a major bonus here. We've got a massive efficiency patch for the game. So good job, Arrowhead. Now, this was the Steam chart taken from a couple of hours ago today. So there were 20,000 players playing on Steam when I took the screenshot. But this was about 4 or 5 hours from when I actually made this video. But that's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is that 62,000 24-hour peak. Now, if you look at the graph, this graph goes back a couple of months, and you can see, yeah, the player population has slowly gone down. But look, there's been a bit of a spike with this new style of update that they've got, i.e. doing a bigger update with a bit of promotion around it and naming the update. So it's the Escalation of Freedom. We had some dev videos come out. It creates more hype. More people actually come in and play the game. So I think it's a big win from that respect. So then take a look at this. Negative reviews once again. Now, this isn't on the scale of anything near we've seen with the PSN. Although we've got 671 negative reviews that were committed on the 6th of August. And on the 7th, as of taking this screenshot, there was maybe another 300, 400 so negative reviews. So we're in the region of about 1,000 negative reviews. And the question is, why are we getting these reviews? Well, it is a bit of an outcry from a certain segment of the community that the balance of the game just isn't working. So let's break all of this down. The first offender is this. Now, when I first read the patch notes, I didn't entirely understand what this meant. They said adjusted flame effects to work more realistically. It doesn't go through various bodies and objects where bounce off would be the expected behavior, like on armors and static objects. So what this means in play is when you're trying to attack a charger head on and you're flaming that charger, its armor on its legs and on the front of it are actually deflecting the flame damage. So you're not doing really any damage to it from the front. You can still kind of get underneath it and do damage from the front, but now you need to get behind them, flame the back, and it will still kill it fairly quickly. But this has actually removed one of the I guess, key strengths of the Flamer, which was dealing with charges. And it can actually be argued that a lot of this game's balance against the bugs is around charges. If you've got a standard charger running to you, you can smash it in the face with an eat rocket and kill it. But if it's one of those armored charges, that's not enough and it won't kill it. So the Flamer kind of filled that gap. Yeah, you were exposed. You wouldn't instantly kill the charger. You had to dive out of the way and you're flaming it. You feel like a badass and you're taking it down. You can no longer do that. You can still kill it from behind, like I said, but they've taken away a really fun gameplay component. For what cost? For balance? In a PvE game? It makes no friggin' sense. It's actually crazy. Another issue with the flame weapons as well is they no longer just spray through packs of enemies. So when you've got a horde of Terminids rushing towards you, before you were like a badass, right? Spraying flames, just going through the whole enemies, burning them all down. Now they don't. They actually, the enemy in front takes the whole brunt of the flame damage before it hits the enemy behind, and it just feels crap. And what is actually laughable is, well, this. Yeah, that's right. There's a Warbond coming out on the 8th of August, which is all based around flame weapons. It's got a flame primary weapon, a flame secondary weapon, and actually got 2 flame primary weapons because there's a flaming shotgun as well. And they've nerfed flame damage. It beggars belief. Like, what the actual hell are these guys doing? This nerf, though, actually isn't too bad. It's kind of annoying, and again, it's a nerf. Why even bother? But this is the Breaker Incendiary, so it's reduced the number of magazines from 6 to 4, and recoil has been increased from 28 to 41. I've got to be honest, the recoil, you can't really tell. It doesn't really matter, it's a shotgun. The magazines, though, you will tell. But also, there's kind of enough ammo on the map anyway to be picking up magazines. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's a nerf. What's the point of it? Well, we've got some information a bit later on in this video why they nerfed it, which might make a bit of sense. But again, it's very strange balanced philosophy. So Johan, the CEO at the time of making this comment, but then became the chief creative officer, actually said this on Reddit. This must be fixed. Shitty flamethrowers are the bane of the games industry as its coolest weapon. Yeah, like, he actually wants flamers to be strong. This was 6 months ago. And now they're nerfing them. They're making them weaker. I mean, the trade-off with flame weapons is your point-blank range against the enemy. You're going to get swamped unless you use them effectively, which you could do before, and it was an awesome power fantasy. Now that's been taken away. Again, this insane balance. It just actually makes no sense. So this was a couple of weeks ago, and you can see, literally just a few weeks ago, what the F happened. Helldivers has just become unfun for me and a lot of my friends. I've put insane hours on rank 80. I don't know what to say. These past months of balance changes have made the game basically unplayable for me. Sad to see balance changes come over the priority of fun. And Johan responded with, hey, yeah, I think we've gone too far in some areas. We'll talk to the team about the approach to balance. It feels like every time someone finds something fun, the fun is removed. And the fun is removed, right? Because I'll be honest, Johan, standing there with the flamer and just hosing down massive waves of enemies felt badass. It felt great. It felt awesome. Now it feels trash. Is it game breaking? Not particularly, no. You can use other loadouts. You guys are seeing footage in the background of this video. Me playing on super Helldive difficulty. I'm using the autocannon and the Incendiary Breaker. The Incendiary Breaker was nerfed, but I'm still using it. It's still okay. But it's a nerf, right? It doesn't feel great. I'm not using the flamethrower because it just would be pointless. I'm using the autocannon. Begs the question, will the autocannon get nerfed next? Because then everybody's using it. So I want to show you this because this actually is this is very problematic. So this is from Shams Jorjani, sorry, Shams. And he's the CEO of Arrowhead. And he says this about the Incendiary Breaker. The Incendiary Breaker was like 30% of all Terminid sessions at some point. Very much a meta gun. Is that a problem? Yes. Is it a big one? I don't know. We'll discuss it. Well, they obviously think it's a big enough issue that 30% of players on the bug front were using the Incendiary Breaker to nerf it to make players use other weapons. And that is actually the problem with this development team and their balanced philosophy. Why the hell are they nerfing weapons instead of going down the path of power creep? Now, I'll tell you what, power creep doesn't work in PvP games, but it sure as hell works in PvE. I want to feel like a badass. Instead of nerfing the Incendiary Breaker's magazines, why not just buff one of the other weapons or a couple of the other weapons, make them way more powerful than they were? Players will start using them. You suddenly buff some of the assault rifles, players start using them. It's going to feel badass. It's going to feel great. And you've actually got around the problem of people using this weapon because you're forcing them to use a different weapon by making it stronger instead of nerfing this, going, off you go and find a weapon. Who knows what is going to be the next meta weapon? It's silly. It's really silly. Shams also goes on to say, so the trick for us was to try and pass feedback, is that we have some folks who are very loud while a lot of you are in the game and like it. We don't know. I've noted that people aren't fans of nerfs, and performance could be better, but really where we are at. And this is viable, right? Because obviously a lot of the loud people, a lot of the YouTubers, the content creators, the people on Reddit, they're not the entire community. This is a game with millions of players. They're a very vocal minority, but you have to look at why they are being vocal. And a lot of the time you can get this trickle-down effect where if you look at those guys and think, okay, they're the more hardcore players of our game, we need to make a game that they can play, but also a game that everybody can play and enjoy. And it seems to be the argument here is actually Helldivers is quite a fun game. It's enjoyable. People play it and they just have fun and they don't really care. It's only people moaning who are using these so-called meta loadouts going, oh, why have you nerfed flamers? Why have you nerfed my breaker? And etc, etc. Why have you nerfed my railgun if we want to go back far enough? That are causing the issue. And do they actually need to listen to them? I don't know. But I think, you know, you have to buff the game to make it fun. And there are ways of updating the game where everybody would enjoy it. There's got to be a problem if you update the game and you've got a massive outcry from the community going, hang on, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. Why are you nerfing stuff again and not actually buffing stuff? Because, hell, this is a PvE game, not PvP. So let's take a look at some comments from this dev stream. Now, this was a pre-recorded broadcast, which you could watch, and you would unlock the Sunburst armor. I think it was called Sunburst, TR40 something armor. Actually, I really like the color of it. It looks like Imperial Fists if anyone plays Warhammer 40k. It's a nice color, actually. But it's just the standard armor, but I like using the helmet. It's pretty cool. I'm using it in this gameplay footage, so yeah, you guys have seen it. But anyway, there was some negative feedback about this, and I think a lot of reaction here is kind of taken out of context, right? So let's take a look at this. So over on Reddit, there was a post breaking this down, and we're just going to go through this because it is kind of funny. And this is what this user says based on what they've seen on the stream. Actually, I can't show you guys the stream because it was on Steam and you can't get a recording of it. So it's gone now, but whatever. Right now, they're fighting against the automatons on low difficulty with mainly incendiary weapons, incendiary stratagems, and guard dog rovers. They were dying within the first 2-3 minutes because of standing right next to the thing they throw explosives at. And they were standing still while attacking berserkers. They're also trying to stim through being set on fire, accidentally. That may be viable with medic armor and or stim infusion, but these were not in use. These people typically do not play their game. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't need to be good, but they should understand the basic mechanics of the game. Edit, Jesus Christ, all 4 of them just stood there shooting at a Hulk with their primaries. The one guy with an E didn't use it. The guy with the autocannon just dumped his shots into the chest. And later, a later shot of the Bile Titan with their primaries as well. Edit. One of them just said something funny. It may as well be the company slogan. If it ain't broke, make it worse. Right, okay, so devs playing the game. I mean, to be honest, this was 2 devs, and it was also 2 people from PlayStation. And I think the 2 people from PlayStation were basically playing more than the devs. So you can't just go in and hate on the devs. I'm also going to say as well, to sit there and play a game and commentate on it live does take a bit of brain capacity, and you will do stupid things. You'll make stupid mistakes. Hell, you can look through my videos. There'll be loads of mistakes of things I've done wrong in the game and whatever. But this notion that the devs need to be playing at the highest level of the game isn't actually true, but they do need to understand the game, right? And this is always a danger when the devs go out there and put themselves out in public and say, hey, we're playing the game, what do you think of it? And players look at it and go, my God, they're terrible at the game, what are they doing? It can be an issue. It can be a sort of optics issue as well. But I want to show this actual comment thread here from Reddit, from the post which I just was showing you excerpts of. This sums it up, right? So this user says, devs can be shit at the game, and that happens quite often. See From Software and Miyazaki. He's shit at his games, and even he said that himself. However, if I saw Miyazaki playing Elden Ring while being completely over the weight limit, fat rolling and using a weapon he doesn't have stats for, I'd think something is wrong. And that's how I felt watching that stream. So if you don't play Souls games, basically that's like using a build which completely wouldn't work and using a weapon you've got no stats for, so you're doing no damage with. It's like you don't understand the basics of the game. And then another user replies with, a dev can be bad in their game from a skill point of view. A dev should never be bad from a knowledge point of view. Miyazaki probably struggles when fighting an average boss, but I'm sure that he would never use a weapon without having the stats to wield it or try to use magic against a magic-resistant enemy. And I guess that's what we were seeing with these comments earlier on, is if you're just trying to use your primary weapon to kill a Hulk, but that's not going to work, is it? Trying to shoot the Hulk in the face with your primary, it's not going to work. That is stupid. Trying to kill a Bile Titan with your primary weapon, it's not going to work. So those are like fundamental misunderstandings of the game. Now, whether that was the devs or the guys from PlayStation, again, who knows? But it's just not a very good look. Shams did actually come in on this and say, look, the stream had 1 to 2 devs, the others were Sony folks, and let me tell you, devs ain't anywhere near your average skill level. We can read this 2 ways, right? It can either mean that they're worse than your average skill level, but I don't think that's what he's saying. The devs will be higher than your average skill level. But again, what is the average skill level of this game? Now, when we look at games like Overwatch, players go, oh yeah, Plat's the average skill level. It's not. Platinum might be in the middle of the ranked tiers, but it's not. It was gold and below that was average. So it's probably the same for Helldivers. We might sit here and go, oh, well, I only played 10 difficulty, or I only played 9 difficulty until yesterday. I'm amazing at the game. Or maybe you play 7 difficulty, right? Because you're looking for super samples. In fact, are super samples available on difficulty 6 now, maybe? Maybe they are, I can't remember. But I bet you most people are probably playing the game on like 3 or 4 difficulty. And if the devs are easily able to clear 5, 6, 7 difficulty, then yeah, they are much better. But then obviously not high-end players. But they must have high-end players at the studio as well. So this comment, you can kind of take it both ways. But I'd err on the side of like, yeah, they're actually better than average. Right then, so what the hell are the devs saying about these patch notes? Now, the funny thing is, they don't actually address the flamer changes, the way that it bounces off armor now. It doesn't go through objects, which kind of defeats the object of it because, well, you want to spray through legions of Terminators running towards you, but you can't do that anymore. Anyway, this is them explaining patch 1.001.002, and this is what they say. We hope you're excited for the latest additions and updates to the biggest Helldivers 2 update yet, Escalation of Freedom. We believe that a game thrives when it evolves alongside its player base, and your ideas and suggestions are a critical component of that evolution, allowing us to make adjustments that we believe will enhance the overall fun factor of the game. Our goal is to create a dynamic and engaging gameplay experience that remains challenging yet fair, rewarding your strategic thinking and teamwork. Today, we would like to provide you with some context and reasoning behind the latest weapon balance changes. The Slugger change. By increasing the stagger force of the Slugger, we hope to restore its identity that was lost after the previous change back in patch 0.1.000.200. The increased spread and drag should compensate for the improved stopping power and enhance the fantasy of a powerful shotgun firing large caliber rounds while limiting its viability beyond medium range. I read that and I'm like, okay, you're giving it more stagger, it feels stronger when it hits enemies, yeah, fine, whatever. It's a shotgun, it's close range, we get it, it's good. Obviously, these weapons in the past, they were very good at long range and medium range, which made no sense, and they have brought that in. So you can kind of understand that, yeah. Okay, I think that's fine, I understand it. So the Breaker Incendiary. After multiple changes to fire damage, the Incendiary Breaker quickly became one of the most powerful weapons in the game, as it absolutely dominated the Terminator front line and is a bit too reliable when facing the bugs, overshadowing the other weapons. By increasing the recoil and reducing the maximum number of magazines, we intend to make the Incendiary Breaker more demanding for good ammo economy while keeping its immense power intact. So there's 2 elements at play here, right? Again, it's this thing of, the weapon's too strong, let's nerf it, instead of, everyone's using this weapon, let's make the other weapons better and more viable. There's a fucking shit ton of weapons in this game, especially primary weapons, that never get used. Why are they not talking about weapons that have got no playtime on and going, you know what, maybe we should buff these to make them have playtime? Instead, they're looking at things like the Breaker going, oh, well, everyone's using this, let's nerf it. It's so stupid, it makes no sense. But I do think on paper, though, the other element to this is they haven't nerfed its damage output, they've just nerfed the number of magazines it's got. So in a way, it's a damage output nerf because you've got less uptime. But really, there's enough ammo on the map for every engagement. You should be going into it with a bunch of ammo. So it still isn't really that much of an issue. And I think the recoil increase is just literally pointless. You don't even feel it on this weapon. But again, it's a weird philosophy. The grenade pistol. The original version of the grenade pistol was quite inconsistent compared to other weapons. It essentially tripled the amount of grenades available to the player, but required 4 ammo boxes to be fully refilled. By reducing its ammo capacity, we want the choice of the grenade pistol to be more deliberate, and we think that restoring more grenades from a single box will compensate for the loss of ammo and will make the grenade pistol more reliable for any other mission type. Yeah, I mean, whatever, it's a buff to the grenade pistol, I'll take it. The exploding crossbow. Since the last patch, the exploding crossbow still struggles to find its own niche, as it had to compete with more reliable weapons. By making the crossbow a one-handed weapon, we hope to increase its versatility and offer new and interesting uses that help it stand out from other options. Now, I actually like this. I think this is good. This is giving a bit more power to this weapon. If you want to run with like the ballistic shield, you can run now with a crossbow and the ballistic shield. Pretty cool. If you're holding an objective, you can still use the crossbow. And the crossbow is actually fairly good, the exploding crossbow. It's better against the bots and the bugs, but it's not too bad. So again, this is okay. Nice little change, but it's not going to make everyone run out to grab the crossbow, right? But it's an okay change. this is where things go absolutely out the window and start going to shit, because this is insane. Like, this paragraph is actually insane. So remember what I've been ranting about in this video, where you want to be giving power to the players, not taking it away from them. So the worst thing you could do is say you've actually got unintended power and we're going to take that away from you, but we know you're enjoying it. And that's what this says. It's insane. So the Commando, the ability of Commando's missiles to destroy automaton fabricator buildings from any angle, was unintended behavior. However, the community clearly voiced their enjoyment of this particular bug. We do not plan on fixing this, but have decided to take some time to think this through and not make any rash decisions on how best to rebalance this weapon. And sorry, I should say we do plan on fixing this. So they're actually saying, look, yeah, you've got an intended use of the weapon. It's fun. We know you know it's fun. And remember, they said at the top of this section, we want to work with the community to balance the game. And things you find fun, yeah, you can keep it, but apparently not in this case. Anyway, you find it fun. We know you do. We're going to change it, but we're going to take time to change it. And yeah, so this Commando is going to get nerfed. This reminds me of the Eruptor changes we had back in the day, where the Eruptor, you could detonate it under a charger and blow a charger away with one shot, which granted was a bit ridiculous, but they came out and said it was a bug. That's a bug and it's unintended behavior, so we're not having that in the game. Instead of going, you know what, players are really enjoying this. How can we work around it? What other weapons can we buff to maybe make them a bit more potent? It's insane. So they're going to nerf the Commando at some point, guys. So if you're using it, get ready for a nerf. Now, the Guard Dog. So, yeah, I do agree with this buff, but I still think the laser one's better. Anyway, since release, the Guard Dog has been outclassed by its laser counterpart due to the fact that it ran out of ammo too quickly and could not be refilled from ammo boxes found on the map. Apologies. We believe that increased ammo capacity, along with the fixed ammo crates, will improve its viability as a support companion. So I will say about this Guard Dog, it actually does kill bugs really fast. It seems to headshot things, whereas the laser just fires into the center mass of targets. But again, it still suffers with it will run out of ammo. You still need to pick up ammo. There's enough ammo at points of interest, though, to keep it stocked. Would I take it over the laser Guard Dog? I don't know, probably not. Am I the biggest Guard Dog fan in the world ever? Again, I don't know, probably not. But yeah, it's a buff, and it's okay. Orbital Walking Barrage. Originally, the Walking Barrage was intended to suppress enemies during an advance. However, given the chaotic nature of Orbital Barrages, the Walking Barrage had no definitive application as it felt too unreliable at times. The increased duration of the bombardment in combination with reduced movement speed should make the Walking Barrage saturate the area better while covering about the same distance as before. So again, this is fine. Adding power to stratagems to make them, you know, think, me as a player go, oh, you know what, I might try this now. You know, I've been using the 120mm because they buffed that. You know, so that's a good example of giving power back to stratagems and weapons so players go out and use them. So this is the Orbital 120mm Barrage. And they say, similar to the Walking Barrage, the 120mm Barrage felt too random at times if salvos missed the target or hit the same spot multiple times. With decreased cooldown, the 120mm Barrage will be accessible more often and should make randomness less punishing. And yeah, you get this more often now, so I use it. That's the only reason I use it. I get more of it. We could rant about other stratagems, like mine stratagems are on a way too long cooldown to even make them feel good, because if you drop them in an area and then, well, nothing walks over it, well, that's unlucky. Fast using stratagems are more fun to use. It feels fluid, it feels better, and it's just better, isn't it? I mean, what the hell? All right, guys, I'm going to end this video at that. I could rant for ages about this, but basically, we've got a major balance problem here with Helldivers 2. I think what they've done with this update is, yeah, the new content is fine. It's not massive content. Like, the new mega nests are fun to play with. You know, the new enemy types are fun as well. The performance issues are seemingly almost removed, at least for me on PC, which is a massive, massive buff. The game feels great. But this idea of nerfing stuff, it actually makes no sense. And I'm really worried that in the future now, because we've had this for quite a while now, and we get promised, oh no, we'll change the way the balance philosophy is going to be handled. Things will get made better. It's almost like they're not, or they get made a little bit better, then they get reined back in. All I'm going to say, guys, is this. The nerfs are not as bad as people are making them out to be. But what's happening is, it's the mental effect on the player base. When you take things away from players, they feel shit. I feel shit. I'm waiting for an autocannon nerf, and I'll be like, what the actual like, oh no, autocannon's too strong, so reduce the fire rate of it so it feels clunky or something. I mean, come on. You know, you can see that kind of thing happening. Or, hey, we see the autocannons getting used in 30% of games against the bots, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to nerf it. Instead of going, actually, nobody's using a railgun, let's try and buff the railgun or something. Can you see the philosophy and how insane it is? And I hope they can fix this and sort it out. because I still think this game is a killer game, and there's literally nothing like this, and I have so much fun jumping in and playing the game. I just want them to fix these issues. All right, guys, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. I've been Stylosa. You can follow me on everything, which is at Stylosa, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. See you soon.